All right, Wednesday, mixing 2.0 or the second day of mixing actually. Today we're gonna be mixing two students tracks. It's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be interesting because I'm gonna be starting from scratch. Those tracks I haven't listened to them, so they just submit me these stems and or the tracks, and I'm gonna be loading them into the sequencer, and I'm gonna start mixing. So I don't know anything. The cool thing about it is that it is not my music. When you are mixing your own music, you have your own perception of how the music should be, and you've been the composer, and now you're mixing. And in a way, sometimes you don't want to destroy things that you've done, even though they could actually improve the music. Now, because now I'm mixing someone else's music, I do not care. So I may do things that it could seem a little bit drastic, but I'm thinking from a mixing standpoint, and I am not the composer, so it changes the game a little bit. You'll see. All right, now same concept. If you did not watch yesterday's intro, please go watch the intro. There are three very important things that I need you to know if this is the first time that you approach mixing orchestral music. So if you did not see yesterday's Tuesday intro, go watch that intro. Very important concepts. All right, I'm not gonna explain this again because it took me a little bit, and I don't want to waste your time. For those who did see the intro, as always, I say three things. We are streaming this live, but it's not a live class. We pre-record this class, we edit it so you can get the most amount of value with the least amount of time. This class was a little bit longer than it is going to be because we edited, we got rid of all the fluff. So that's one thing. Second thing, we are live in the chat though. So if you got any question, ask the questions in the chat. We are there to give you support. So ask the questions there. All right. And finally, check out the calendar. We've got more masterclass. We're going to have this class. And then in the afternoons, usually we have master classes this month and next month. So check out the calendar. All right. So without further ado, let's get started mixing someone else's music. Today we're gonna be mixing Molly's track, and to me it's gonna feel a little bit like I don't know. I'm looking here. To me, it's gonna be it's gonna be a little bit like an unboxing because it's the first time that I hear this track. Okay, so first of all, let's check that the levels are right, more or less. So I'm gonna go here, and I'm move you guys out of the way if you don't mind, and I'm gonna go here and make sure the stereo has just a maximizer to control volume maximizer. This guy here. We'll do it. Let's just check zoom real quick. Zoom, audio settings, and make sure that it's not too loud. It's not. Good. Too loud? Can you hear this correctly? Just so you know, you have the option to activate on in Zoom. You can activate like turn on like original audio or something like this, and this is gonna give you a little bit of a better audio quality. All right, so a little bit of context here. This is Molly's track, and she sent me this track a couple of weeks ago for assignment revision, and I told a few of you, hey, send me your stems, send me your like or your tracks, like individual tracks, and I'll mix it. Because sometimes I can give you so much feedback, right? But there's a point where if I can see the track, and then I can dig deeper a little bit more. So, and also I thought that if I do a chat where when I talk about this, it could be awesome because we can all learn. Now there's this thing that I always say, which is mixing is not going to fix composing mistakes, and so sometimes when people send me music is like so this is composed and mixed, and I would like to get feedback from like the production, and it's like cool, but sometimes there are things that need to be fixed during the composing stage because there are like major things that you're not going to be able to mix during the mixing stage. Okay, so this here now we're gonna be able to see each one of the tracks and see if it's if what we can do in terms of mixing, if we can improve this track, if mixing is gonna elevate this, or if we have to go back and change a few things. So let's just get started. Now, this is the first time I just loaded this, so it's all new for me. I'll reorganize everything. I'll try to do this under 1 hour. Maybe we'll go a little longer. So I'll try to move as fast as I can. If you have any question, just let me know. Just stop me and ask. And Molly's here to defend her track. Hey Molly, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. There you go. Here you are. So this is the track. And take a listen to this, and I'll be organizing it. So this is the trumpet, and then we've got horns, horns, what else? Cross. Did I miss? Yeah, did I miss something here, Molly? It's supposed to be more tracks here, right? Here, the transition. Oh no, this is the end. Okay, cool. So I can get rid of this one.
Yes. I'm listening on Zoom and I can't quite tell.
Okay, but this track is just long, but it's okay, right? There's nothing here. Yeah, nothing here. Okay, cool. Just gonna cut this out. All right, cool. All right. I got the skirt all of a sudden. So this is strings short, and then we've got strings trem, and then strings runs. Then we've got piano, full piano, then winds, monster winds, orchestral long, orchestral short, and then riser, and then woodwinds long notes. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna have the monster winds here with the woodwinds, and then we're gonna have just gonna give it another pass. Trumpet trombones. Here, brass good, taiko snares, percussion, some fields. Here, drum accents, high snares, cymbal swells. Then piano and riser. Just start with, okay, so what let me see this a little bit bigger. Let's see what we got here. first thing that we're gonna do is gonna make this a little bit smaller, the other way around, so we can see, so we all can see. And I'm going to bring this down. Get out. We're gonna bring this down. Everything, something like, oops, come on. No. Again. Oops, I lost them. One more time. I'm gonna bring all this down by like 6 dB, something like this. There you go. 8 dBs. And so we can, so I have more headroom, okay? So the piano's a little bit loud. I'm just gonna do like a very quick mix, just to adjust levels a little bit. And these Molly style, what's the outcome for this track? What's sort of like, you going for like a realistic type of thing, or more like trailer type of sound? Or...
more trailer type.
All right, cool.
So it doesn't matter if it's realistic.
All right, cool. So exactly. There you got it.
I think when I sent you the stems, I removed the gains. So I did the volume balancing, but I may have removed them because you said dry stems, so very dry.
So you removed reverb? You said?
I removed the reverb. I also removed the gains. So like that's why like some tracks are too loud.
Oh, I see. Okay. Good. Gonna rebalance a few things, just to, because for example, if the piano is too loud, then the orchestra is gonna sound too small, right? Sometimes like a loud piano note as an effect would work. Here's a tad too loud, so we're gonna just bring it down a little bit. Bring down the piano.
Marc?
Yes, John.
What would you say your initial approach is when you have this? I know you rearrange tracks and everything, but will you be leveling first and then maybe dialing in with EQ and different other things?
Yes, leveling first, then very quick sort of like the setting up the sonic space. I usually do like very quickly a little bit of reverbs. If I see a track that I usually do more things, but basically I do a little bit of an analog saturation. Sometimes I open some instruments to make them sound a little bit wider, the strings especially, and then reverbs. And then I do other things, but those are like did I say EQ? So it's an EQ, so a little bit of reverb, EQ, analog saturation, sometimes widening. So those 3-4 things I can do. I do them real quick if any of the tracks needs that. And so I do level and that, and then I start with the automation, and I do more. I dial in a little bit better, a little bit more. Does it make sense?
Yes, it does. Thanks.
All right, cool. I just muted off. If you need to ask any questions, just unmute your mic. It's gonna go like this. I'm adjusting the volume of this guy here, which is the piano. Sometimes I remove the parts where I don't have anything, so I see like it's more visual where I, and also sometimes not with samples, with a real orchestra or like a real recording, there's noise, where we don't need it, like where we're like silence. And so it's very typical to do when you know, like cleaning up the session, like for example here. What is this? We've got the string tremolo. All right, we've got the strings here. All right, we've got the strings here. This is 100% silence. Yes, cool. Out. Cool, cool. And then this guy is gonna go out as well. Boom. What else? What else? What else? Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, this looks good. Cool. So where do we have the woods here? I'm gonna adjust this a little bit. If we don't have a camera at this, let's have this one. So this works. Then let's move here. All right, let's separate all the percussive stuff. So we're gonna have two basses, like two groups. And so we're gonna have all the percussion here, and then we're gonna have group track. That's gonna be percussion stereo. It's gonna be stereo percussion, and you know what? Great. A track. No. Cool. Yes. And then we're gonna make sure that these guys are properly routed. Yeah.
Hi guys.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, hi. I'm fine. Very cool class today. Very nice track, and I'm super curious. That's why I'm asking. I don't think Molly saw my question in the chat, so I'm gonna ask again. It would be cool to know what library she used on the Monster Winds. The whole low end is totally cool.
The Monster Low Wind, that's the Monster Low Wind. Cinebrass.
Mm-hmm.
The Monster Low Wind is just the Cinebrass Monster Low Wind.
Ah, cool. Because Val already answered that for you, but I wasn't sure. I just wanted to be. Thank you very much. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. One.
Thanks.
Orchestra. So we're gonna have percussion orchestra, and these guys are going to be. I don't know how I colored all this. I should have colored it this way. Anyway, so this percussion orchestra, and we're gonna have everything else, which is orchestra, here. Now, I'm gonna go here, and then it's the out. It's gonna be orchestra. Boom, changes all the outs. So if you, let me just make this a little bit bigger for a sec. So if you hold Alt and Shift, everything it selects the Q link, or you can just click here, and then what this does is, like, if you click this here Q link, then everything is linked. See? And if you change the routing, or you can do this again, Alt Shift, and that selects it automatically. When you unhold, it goes away. Okay, cool. Back here. So now we have everything here. I'm gonna move these up here so I have control here, so it's easy access. Did I do something wrong? Yes, I think I did. Okay, so we've got these guys going to the orchestra and then starting here, right? They should go to something wrong here. Okay, so it's from cymbals to razor. These guys are gonna go to percussion. There you go. All right, working.
Mark, those two are those two buses or sent other for just
No, just
volumes?
those are just basses, and I'm just routing the output of each track into that, so I've got a little bit of control over these guys. All right, cool.
Yeah. So are you doing those? Are those two buses for effects or everything, or just volume?
A little bit of both control and effects. Yes.
Okay. So it's not for reverb.
No.
And then you're gonna do reverb separately, right?
Yes.
I believe. Okay.
Maybe I'll compress a percussion here. I'll compress each individual percussion instrument or most of the most of them, and then again here maybe a multiband compressor for the percussion stem again on top of that, or maybe a multiband compressor and a limiter, very soft limiter, and then after actually compressing each one of the percussion instruments here, maybe not the cymbal swells, but the rest of them. So just like 2 layers of compression, which makes more sense. You know, if you like this is like percussion has more power than the orchestral melodic instruments, and so we need to compress a little bit, especially for this type of for this style. Now, if we compress too much, then we're gonna hear the compressor kicking in, and we don't want that. Now, if we apply a little bit of compression several times, right? If we compress the snares, and then we compress if we had more basses, maybe we can have like the high percussion, mid percussion, and low percussion. So we compress the snares, and then we would compress the mid percussion or the high percussion stem, and then we would compress the percussion bass again, etc., etc. So we are applying a little bit of percussion, way more transparent sound, way more natural sounding, and still controlling the dynamics and the transients of those more aggressive, punchy sounds, which in this case percussion. Hopefully that makes sense. But now with an hour, I won't have that much time to have so much control. I spent almost sort of like half an hour organizing everything, right? But it's so important because then we're gonna move and work faster. Okay, cool. I've got this glitch. I don't know what it is. This is the razor, maybe. Oh, where's the razor, by the way? Oh, right here. Okay, cool. Where is this? All right. This is what. Okay. So there's like this thing here. I'm sure it's in purpose. High stat, yeah. I named this in. All right. So this type of hits, it's very, very wet by nature, like the sample and the library is very wet. This works great for like connecting section, like transition type of hit, boom, 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 and then next section sort of thing. Now here in the middle of the section, it's gonna add a little bit of muddiness, and it's gonna make it hard for us to make things sound clear. Where's it? I literally, what I do when I have like things like this is literally like if I was mixing, if I didn't have control, if I'm not the composer, or what the ta-dam, ta-dam, ta-dam. I would be doing things like this, and you'll be like, "Oh, you're killing my music," but just bear with me. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. Ta-dam. That's so much fun, right? Ta-dam, pa-dam. A little bit of this. And I'm not gonna do all of them, but you get the idea. Let's see. And you won't even hear the difference. Meaning this is not going to sound as drastic as you are seeing. Like literally, I'm getting rid of part of sound. It's just we have conflicting decays. That's why we are trying to solve this problem doing this. Way more clear. It just look at this. Right, we don't really need any of this. I would like to listen this and fine tune this, but I'm just gonna do this real quick. Yeah, you get the idea. I'm not gonna do them all, and ideally, obviously, fade out, fade in, fade out. But for now, I'm just gonna leave it like this, and it still is gonna work. Yeah, at least the out, at least this one. Cool. What else do we have? Or you can get this. Let's see. Oops. No. Insert. See one gate. Just a very simple gate. Okay. It's gonna be slow release. You may have a hard time with this. No. And then you will be cutting it and that's it. Like doing the exact same thing that I've done. When it has a lot of reverb, and then this what we're trying to do is it becomes a little bit harder. Alright, let's make it a little bit more natural sounding. Oops. No, didn't want to touch this much. Come on. A little bit more up. Go up. Floor is gonna go like this. Too slow of a release. Alright, it's not perfect. Let's adjust this a little bit. So I would have to automate the gate. So it's not perfect. So the alternative would be cutting those parts that we don't need, because the dynamics are not making it easier for the gate to work its magic. And so you could either do this and remove the parts that we don't need, or you could automate the gate open, and especially this part here, like if we did that, then we would do this. Right, this part we would need to okay, let's see. Right, and do this, and I just see I automated this because this part is it's slower in dynamic, and the gate it's muting, right? It's lowering the volume for this part, and we don't want that. So anyway, I'm doing this real quick, but you get the idea. So again, conflicting decays that are not bringing clarity and separation in the mix, but the opposite, and we don't want that. All right, cool. I'm gonna give. But for now, I'm doing just this, the first pass, and then I have this. Maybe we can, again, too much reverb. Too much reverb. Let me see if we can. Yes. Let's just bring this down a little bit. This one works better with a gate, easier to work with. Bypassed within. Right, so the music, we have so much space. We've got left, right, then we've got depth, right, closer sounding and farther sounding instruments. Then we've got the third dimension, which is pitch, which is higher and lower, right? So we've got a finite space. The more sound that we've got going on, the harder it is to distribute all these things. And when we have instruments that take a lot of space, like this guy here, this gate, I would rather cut and do so, like these guys or these guys. Either during the composing stage, making sure that they are not super wet, or making sure that the decay is fast. Right, for example, when I've got a timpani, there are some notes that need to let it ring, right? And there are some notes that I on purpose stop, like when they put the hand on top to just do like a doom, and then they stop the sound instead of like doing and going, because those things are taking space. And so before we actually start, like when we think about mixing, we think about plugins and EQ, right? EQ is gonna help. EQ is a small little thing, we'll get there, right? But there are bigger, major things that we can do that look more like organizing. Sometimes it's just getting rid of stuff that's just it's not bad. But when it comes to mixing music and more produced modern type of sound, it's annoying. This doesn't belong. Like just out of it. Anyway, hopefully that makes sense. Yes.
Would you say this is too much reverb for low percussion in general, or just for this track?
In general, percussion very dry. We want it dry. We don't want wet percussion. In general, percussion for like cinematic epic music and especially trailers, we want it very dry. Sometimes we want it wet for specific hits. We want just one hit to connect to sections, or one hit to sort of like fill the entire like sound space. But in general, we want it very dry in your face, and because that's gonna give us more clarity and it's gonna sound more punchy. Okay. Yeah. And like I'm mixing, like that was a few years ago, right? It was like a major movie, and that was at Bobby's studio. Bobby Fernandez was mixing for I won't say the name of the composer, but the guy who programmed, it wasn't the composer, but the guy who programmed the drums was one assistant, and he did the drums, and then he submitted everything, and Bobby was mixing. I was there, and he was mixing like they had like a turnaround. It was like the deadline was in 12 hours, something like this. So he couldn't ask the composer's assistant to reprogram the drums and send them back to him. They were super wet, and he was trying to. It's like he was struggling because like I can't mix it, with these. The drums were samples and they kept them wet. It's bad, right? Because it's not gonna help the mix, and it doesn't give the mixing engineer like flexibility, because I can't remove this reverb, right? If you give it to me without reverb, then I can add reverb if I need to, but most likely I'm not gonna need it, and it's gonna stay dry, which is the sound that we are after. Does it make sense? Cool. All right.
But so this because the reverb that of the percussion that I sent you, because it was like a built-in in the it's all in the sample that I probably could change the settings, but I haven't really looked into it because they sounded fine to me. I wasn't trying to get like a dry percussion, so I didn't change that. But so my question is like, but a lot of the times when we're using samples, that's just like, it's just a built-in reverb. Like when I say like, okay, I send you the dry stems like without reverb, that means I didn't add extra reverb. But the reverb is already in the sample.
Yes.
So
Yeah. Then you're fucked. yeah. There's no solution for that. It's a problem. Yes. Go with the closed mics. If you've got something like Albion, right, that basically is, which basically is, there you go. It's recorded in Air Studios, big studio, right? You don't have that much control, and it's a little bit of a pain because you get the room sound. Even with the closed mics, you still hear a little bit like if I move these guys, right, you're gonna hear. This is not Air Studios, but you can still hear a little bit of the room sound. So imagine a room like a big room like that one. It's just insane amount of reverb, and there is no way to get a dry sounding trailer type of big percussion. That should have been recorded in a way smaller room if that's what you want. And there are other libraries that will sound that you have more control over that. So in general, for like orchestral instruments, I prefer having wet sounding instruments. Like for the strings, wet, because otherwise I'll have to work hard to make them sound like strings, right? We are not used to hear dry strings. Now for trailer, modern, cinematic, epic type of sound, percussion is gonna sound dry. So I prefer having as dry as possible percussion. If I need to add some reverb, to add some space to it, I'll add it afterwards. But I prefer having dry percussion so I have control over it. In terms of the orchestral melodic instruments, I prefer them wet, like recorded in a big room with like the typical setup, because that's 99% of the times the type of sound that I'm gonna need. So I'm not gonna. And some people prefer having like very very dry sounding strings like Vienna Symphonic Library, because then they can recreate any room around that, and they can. I don't like that. It makes me work super hard, makes the computer work hard. I have to add some sort of convolution reverb. I don't need that type of control 99% of the times. And if I do have Vienna Symphonic Library. I haven't used it. I can tell you I haven't used the library for years. It's a great library, great sounding library, but I do not need them to sound dry and me adding reverb on top. I prefer dry sounding instruments for melodic orchestral. Wet sounding like instruments for melodic orchestral, dry for percussion. All right, let's keep moving. And then we've got this guy here. Yeah, cool. And then we've got this guy here. All right, cool. adjusting this guy here. All right, cool. Then we've got this guy here. Reverb as well. I'm gonna just clean that. Just again, conflicting decays. We're gonna work on that a little bit. Where is this? Gonna add this plugin again. Just again. A little bit of a glitch here. I'm gonna bring up the floor. A little bit of a slower decay, slower release. We can bring this up a little bit. Yeah, works a little bit better. Not perfect. I would spend a little bit more of time, or maybe just cutting, like literally cutting the audio. Let's just fix this. Cool, next one. See, your mix is perfect. I'm barely doing anything. The only thing that I brought down a little bit more has been these guys here, and what I brought up was where's this? No, not much. So it's just mix works. This one. Oops. It's very nice, clean sounding taiko. I may add right now. This is something that I would do afterwards, but I'm gonna add the max bass. So this is gonna be max bass mono. In this case, it's gonna be a mono bass, and then it's gonna go to this is gonna be stereo out because this is just an effect, and then boom, outside the folder, it's gonna go add track here. Gonna go down here, max bass, and is this guy here. We've got the max bass.
Why do we use mono here?
It's I'm enhancing the low end, low frequencies. I prefer them having center. It just works better. And this is the one that where I actually not just have it mono, but also I flip the face. I don't know if you remember, we saw this one the other day. Max bass. I'm gonna go here to pre. I'm gonna flip the face. I'm gonna bring up the gain because this plugin. Oops, gain here. Gain. Can you see? No, you can't. Is this guy? Yes. Bring up the gain by 20 or something like this. And now I'm gonna go in here. And this is gonna be just max bass, really. And this guy can go out, just max bass. I'm gonna lower this a little bit at around. So we've got more subsonic frequencies. And now when I go here, I'm gonna just solo this again. And I'm gonna create a send. We're just gonna go to max bass and I'm gonna activate the send, and so now we have control over this guy. Not working. 1 second. Solo and the solo. Now it is solo. Okay, cool. There you go. So without. Without. This is a great instrument to add this bottom end because it's such a clean sounding drum, right? So if we add some artificial subsonic frequencies, it's gonna be a very clean bottom end. And it's not gonna have all junk of like a lot of reverb. And so if you are creating subsonic frequencies based on that, reverb is gonna just create rumble. And this one is way cleaner, and so it's gonna work great. This is way too much, by the way, but just for you to hear the effect. Without, with, right? So there you go. Let's just add this with in context. And we're gonna make this sound, gonna make this a little bit narrower, because we don't need that much width, and the reverb is just opening the sound a little bit. So we're gonna close this one a little bit, so I'm gonna just use as one shuffler, and we're gonna keep the low end center, and then we're gonna narrow the rest. So I'm gonna narrow especially like the high frequencies. This is like a sort of like the S1 shuffler, sort of is like a multiband compressor. This one takes care of like the mid high frequencies, and the shuffler takes care of the low frequencies, sort of thing. There you go. It's a little bit more solid low end now. So what did we do here? We gained the space. We got rid of a little bit of reverb. By gating it a little bit. We could have carried all the tails. for avoiding those conflicting decays, we narrowed it down. So we gain space by gating it. We gained space by narrowing it down, and then we enhanced the low end. So we used some extra space that wasn't here, but it's in the low end, and we do have a space there. It comes from it's quite clean source, so it creates that solid low end. Now we also narrowed it down, and then because of the order and how things go, it starts like this, then keeps like this. So first we gated it. We narrow it, and after narrowing it, then it's the send that sends it to the max bass and creates those subsonic frequencies. But coming from that clean, narrower source. All right, cool. All right, I'll keep working on this in a second. Let's work on the orchestra. All right, let's work on this. Boom. What is this? Oh, I didn't see this. Okay. Okay, this has a lot of reverb. It's not that big of a deal because there isn't that much going on here. So now, in terms of balance, we can make this work a little bit better. And here you go. Oops. Gonna set a little bit of this to that max bass. Activate. Max bass. No, I'm gonna need. Do we have any low heat somewhere nice and tight? Just all right. No. All right, let's make this a little bit like this, and this is gonna come in here, sort of thing. All right, let's see. Let's enhance those hits. I need a little bit more of. Here we go. Oops, did I lose it? Yes. There we go. A little bit this pouring. Yeah, it works better if it goes a little bit ahead because it's a more solid type of heat, and then sort of this one is more wet. So just a few milliseconds, but it works a little bit better. So we're gonna move them a little bit like this. This one sort of like music is going down, so we're not gonna have anything here. Boom, and then again, here, here, and here. And this a little bit ahead. Oops, too much. And then we're gonna bring down this by -2.3. Yeah. Too much. Rapapam, ratata. We're gonna make this shorter. Hello. Come on. There you go. Pa-pa-pa. Shorter, shorter, ratata. Shorter. And then we're gonna move this one here. Rap, pa, pa. Oops. It's gonna be a little bit longer. And then we're gonna make this like this. Ratata. All right. And then we're gonna move this one here, this one here. It's gonna be this one a little bit, and a little bit more, and a little bit more here. What else? So I'm gonna bring up this guy here. That's what I'm doing now. All right, so that's it. Let's go one by one. Orchestral melodic instruments. We're gonna make this small so we don't focus on this. We're gonna be looking at these guys here. Gonna make them a little bit bigger, like this. All right. I'm gonna start with the long instruments. Wow, this is orchestra. I'm gonna start with the strings instead. Strings. Out. There you go. Do we have lower strings here as well? Well, just in case, I'm gonna go with shuffler. Stereo, S1, 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 stereo shuffler. There you go.
Mark, question.
Go ahead.
Do you think that stereo shuffler from Waves is better than the stereo enhancer in Cubase?
Same thing. Same thing. And another option would be Ozone Imager. So
Okay.
yep. Did that answer your question? Cool.
Yeah. So I was thinking like maybe should I get that as one because I have been using just the stereo enhancer in Cubase and I think it's all right as well, right?
I don't know. Let me see how much is it. If really, oh no, not Sweetwater. It's too expensive. Come on. There's one Waves. Here you go. There's one. Do we have an offer going on? Save 40%. And so wow, that's freaking expensive. It's a 49. Save 70%. I don't know. I've got this for forever. And I think I got it in my when the first time I got the diamond bundle or something like this, and it came with it. So
Okay.
thanks. Volume. Sol, re. Yeah, let's do this. Enhance this one with a little bit of epic reverb. Alright, let's go back to the strings. And then we have here. One more time, one more time. I need some more, a little more headroom here. Can I have a little bit of it? Yeah, it's gonna bring them
Marc,
up.
are you doing the automation just for the strings right now?
At the moment, yes.
Can't quite see it.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm gonna add 6 dBs because I'm running out of, and I would like these guys to be a little bit louder at some point. I'm gonna do this again. So boom. Oops. Oopsie. Gonna get rid of all these until here. Okay, cool. And now I'm gonna go here, plus 6 dBs. Need more headroom. Now let's do this. Yes, there you go. Cool. Nice. Then there's something that bothers me. There's here. This part here. Alright, we need more of this. I'm gonna bring this up a little bit. Bring this down. Is this the guy who's actually singing or? Cool. Alright, it's okay, cool. Gonna right here. And here we go. Where are you? Here. lot here. One more time. Tum 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 tum. Know this by hand. Tum bum. Tum tum. Oh, come on. Tum tum. Exactly. Too much. I think. Yeah, we're getting there. Yes, cool. Alright. So we've got the strings. A little bit, I usually like to add a little bit of sort of analog saturation for the strings. I like analog, this guy here, AC 101. No, not AC 101. I like the 2, AC 202. Sorry, this card, yes. So find a preset that you like. But this basically is tape saturation type of emulation. I stuck out the strings here. Opens them a little bit and brightens them a little bit. What I just did. Okay, not right. Do not. Oh, okay. One sec, the trumpet was here. That's the automation that I wrote. Exactly. And that's the okay. I do not want to see this, don't want to see this, don't want to see this. So as I was tweaking that plugin, the analog 202, I was recording, so I did not want that. So I'm gonna do this again. String short. Same thing for the, all right, I'm not recording. So I opened the, no, where's it? There you go. So 4%, more than enough. Adding a little bit of long reverb for those tremolo strings. See if we can improve these trombones. Okay, so enough for the strings, and I'm running out of time, so I'm gonna move to the main elements. So that's gonna be the horns legato and then the trombones, and they go together. I'm gonna work on this first. Very, very low in volume. Like a 12 horns patch like this one can easily stand out. So I'm gonna automate this a little bit, and it's gonna go like this. Let me just so you see this. And this guy here. It needs to be a little bit more, you know, it's like we've got this moment cliffhanger. You know, I wish it was a little bit more like da ba ba instead of yeah type of thing. So that's one of the things that you wanna focus on when you're composing.
Like, I wish that too, and I don't know how to do that.
Just bring up like maybe the patch is not great, but just bring up the expression modulation or just modulation wow, right? This type of thing when you are composing. This is a MIDI controller, so just to make sure that they start with like the triple forte or whatever layer. It's the more forte fortissimo layer they've got recorded in that patch in that instrument. Or and maybe layer on top of that as sforzato patch, like za za za, right? Like Symphonia has, Cinebras has sforzato patches as well, and the sforzato. Or if you didn't have this I like this sforzato patch because it has that natural attack, and it's not just a staccato, sort of like pa 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 type of note.
Yeah, I did have that issue. Like, you remember during the class, you layer the different instruments because I just didn't feel it had enough aggression there. But
Yeah.
this was a Cinebras core, and it was just not like aggressive enough. The
Yeah.
horns.
Yeah. So that's that.
I think you layered something like was it trombone or something else?
Yeah, or you can another thing that you can do is most of the libraries will have like just a regular staccato patch, and you can layer that at maybe just the first note or like the beginning of it za pa pa. You just let the staccato which is pa pa pa, just to add a little bit of attack to each one of the notes. Maybe just the first one.
Okay.
Just very, very low, so it doesn't stand out too much. But that's it. Maybe we can fix it a little bit here. Let me see. Where is it here? Let's try this one again. One more time. Hey, girl. One more time. Alright, cool. Worked the first one. First one worked. Pa pum pa pum pa pum. And the trombones do a great job. I just want to get this one right. Oops. What just happened? What's happening? Alright, cool. Sorry you didn't see this. Okay, this works. Maybe we're gonna make this a little bit more aggressive. Gonna try two things. NLS. This guy NLS channel stereo. Let's see. We can get gonna try 3 things. I don't know which one is gonna work. I'm gonna try inflator as well, and I'm gonna try it's gonna be stereo. Yes. All right, I'm not gonna put them all on top of each other. I'm just gonna try. So I'm gonna bypass this one, but I'm gonna bypass this one for now. Let's try this guy first. I want this to sound a little bit more aggressive and darker, or maybe brighter. I don't know. Let's try this. Let's give this in context. It's a tiny bit too loud. I just want if we didn't have the trombones, that for this guy to still be like have the enough body and power to just to sing this melody. Come on, they record this really? Sorry. All right, cool. Get rid of it. I like this one. I'm gonna try just this guy for a second. This one is bypassed. This guy is here. I'm gonna bypass this one now, and let's see. Melody. Let's see if 2 of them. It's taking a little bit too much space now. I am going to make this guy I'm gonna make this guy. Hello.
Mark,
Yes.
the two plugins you were using just now, were they both some kind of distortion?
No,
Or are they
so
different?
yes, a little bit. It's analog saturation, so very soft.
Oh, this is saturation.
Yeah, and then inflator is just inflator. It's a guy that does something to the the odd harmonics, and just you can add more or less effect. Just changes the sound a little bit, adds a little bit of presence and a sense of loudness without really being louder, and just affects the odd harmonics again. And then this is the amount of effect, this guy here, and then this is brighter or darker sort of thing.
Okay.
And that's what it does. Now, what I'm going to do is still taking a little bit too much space. So I'm going to EQ this a little bit to see if I can get rid of some of the muddy area. And then I am going to reposition this a little bit more to the left, because it's taking a lot of space. So I may move this a little bit. All right, cool. So I'm going to do this. Hello. There you go. Why is that I can't standard panel? It's okay. Let me just go first with a filter Pt.2. Just find. That's very, very loud now. 1 second, let me just bring it down. So it's around to 258. Let's see, 258. I'm gonna just. That's it. Okay, cool. Cool. I'm gonna get rid of this one because we don't need it anymore. Yes. All right. So that's for the. Let's mix this with the trombones now. of this. Di-do-de-dee. Record. One more time. Alright, cool. So yeah, percussion real quick. I would compress every percussion instrument one by one, right? And I would do multiband compressor, and I'll just do two. And I'm gonna do let's see. This is very. Where is it? My stature. A little bit of plates reverb for this guy. Bright plates reverb. Where is it? I'm working on this. So I did a little bit of Oxford inflator. I did that sort of saturation, that cool thing that it does, and you saw how all of a sudden it pops. It's like cuts through the mix a little bit better, then compressed a little bit, and then I'm gonna add a little bit of reverb. I generally don't use reverb for percussion, but in this case, high percussion could add a little bit of air, a little bit of ambience, and that's what I'm gonna do here. I'm gonna choose the EMT 140, and so it's gonna be short reverb. It's gonna be very bright. It's just gonna be a little bit. So it's gonna be a short reverb. So decay time is gonna be below. It's like 1 point something. It's gonna be very bright. So I'm gonna cut all these low end for the reverb. This is just basically a cut. It's not wet, it's just a little bit of reverb. That would be 100%. This would be 0%. So this is a little bit, if you can see this, yes. And then it's gonna be white. That's gonna be white because that's what we want for that high frequency. And then we're gonna cut a little bit of that below 20, below maybe something like this. I'm gonna cut all this, just preparing it. I'm gonna listen it, and then I'm gonna brighten it. So this is the starting. This is 20K. So it's around 5K, something like this. I'm gonna brighten a few dBs here, so it's gonna be a very bright reverb. Okay, let's hear this. Okay, so you hear just this. A little bit shorter. We don't need that much. Less. Yes. Very short. Yes. See, that's just a little bit of ambience. So nothing. Come on. Just a little bit of ambient, that's it. Alright, cool. That's what we want. And in context. I want to compress the big guys here. I'm gonna start with Taikos. And I usually like inflator to all my percussion instruments. I'm not gonna add them because I'm gonna add it in each one of the tracks because I don't have time. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna compress one of them. I'm gonna start with Taikos, and then this is gonna be MB, again, just a multiband compressor. You can use C6 from Waves or any multiband compressor. And in this case, I'm gonna go here to the stereo, Fab Filter MB. I'm gonna create a few bands here because there's a lot going on here in this track. And boom. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can create another one. We'll go with 5. 5. Cool. There you go. So I'm gonna select all of them, and I'm gonna bring the range up because I don't want to compress more than 3 dB. So something like, yeah, something around 3 dBs. Come on, if I can do this. And then it's gonna be very, very fast attack and release, so it sounds as transparent as possible. And then we're gonna adjust the threshold. Let's start with this guy. Yeah, that's it. A little bit more here. There you go. Oh, wrong one. Alright, cool. Now this one. Alright, cool. So select the loudest part of this process. Cool. Now, because now we are compressing, we are losing pressure. We are losing a little bit of that weight that we had in that punch. So we're gaining, it sounds a little bit tighter. We are reducing the transients, but now we want it to sound louder. So we reduce this. Now we're gonna bring it up. So generally, cinematic epic percussion, you wanna compress it like 1, 2, 3 dBs, and then bring it up 2, 3, 4 dBs. So just 1 more dB. So you're gonna depending on how much presence you want, but I generally compress 1, 2 dBs and then bring it up 2, 3 dBs. That's what we are gonna do now. I'm gonna open this again, and basically for the output, we're gonna bring it up. 2.4 in this case. I'm gonna do the exact same process. I would do the exact same process in each one of the percussion stems. And sometimes I do a little bit of multiband compression like this, and then I apply a very, very carefully a limiter. Very, very subtle. A limiter is nothing but a compressor 10:1 ratio. And so I apply a limiter, but I adjust the threshold very, very carefully for it to limit just a little bit and for it not to be noticeable. I'm not gonna do that right now. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move right to the percussion bass, and I'm gonna do the same process I'm gonna do maybe. Let me try inflator to the entire percussion stem or bass. Yeah. Let me see if I do a little bit of this. Yes, Molly. Question?
Mark,
Yes.
is the inflator a compressor as well?
So valve, right?
Yeah.
It does a little bit of compression as well. It to me it reminds me a little bit of like analog saturation, tape saturation, where the harder the effect, so the more you go into zero above zero in the analog world, in the tape world, the more it affects the sound and does that type of very very subtle and pleasant tape compression, which is very very organic and it's not like real compression. So it does a little bit of compression as well, yes, but not like a compressor. Doesn't sound exactly.
So
like
what's your main, like? Yeah, I just didn't exactly know what an inflator is. What's your main use for it then?
I don't know how to describe this thing. I use it for percussion a lot. Sometimes I use it for brass as well, but mainly percussion. So there's an old article. If you just Google inflator Hans Zimmer, there's an article by Alan, mixing engineer, who talks about inflator a little bit more and how that affects. Like, I was trying to replicate Hans's mix and I wasn't able to, and I spoke with him. It's like, yeah, just put inflator in every single track. It's like, oh cool, I added and it worked. Like, and it's like, so it's like not just sometimes you need a little bit more of like, I need a little bit more out of this sound, out of this instrument brings that, but sometimes it's too much. Sometimes it's just not what you need. Sometimes you actually need to thin it out a little bit. So this is just gonna make things a little bit bigger.
Cool, thank you.
No problem. What am I doing here? Yes, I like both of them. So a little bit of inflator, a little bit of tape saturation, very transparent, but I'm going into the red area. Now again, when you go beyond zero in the digital world, distortion, very, very ugly sound. When you go beyond zero in the analog world, it's saturation. If you go way beyond zero, you're gonna start hearing that saturation, almost distortion. Now tape saturation is even more pleasant than analog, like transistor type of or like solid state type of saturation. So we can go a little bit behind. Now it's gonna color the sound. Just know that. We're gonna let's take a listen just to the percussion stem. Solo. You can hear a little bit of the saturation going on here. So when I hit through, then it's bypassed. When I hit sync, then we can hear the effect being applied. So cleaner sound. A little bit. Maybe a little bit too much. Now, applying this to the bass works great because saturation. So imagine a guitar, right? Acoustic guitar, or like just like a Fender Stratocaster. No distortion, no saturation, just clean sound. When you strum the guitar, you can hear the 6 strings, right? Or even if you do a power chord in just 3 strings, you can still hear the 3 strings, right? Now, if you apply if you apply overdrive distortion, when you hit those 3 strings, when you strum the power chord, it sounds like a thick note, right? It sounds like it's not like 3 strings anymore. It's just like one element, like one thing. Because when you start adding saturation, it blends, it it puts the different elements together, right? And so we lose a little bit of clarity, but at the same time, this works great at the final basis, like the orchestra and percussion, because it sort of like puts them all in one. It feels like they are performing in the same room at the same time, sort of thing. And that's sort of what you get also when you are tracking the orchestra, recording like them all playing at the same time, going through being tracked by that mixing board. Those all, the summing at the end and all these things, even though you're recording each channel into Pro Tools, going through the same mixing board, that NIFs or that SSL board, it makes it sound like them all playing at the same time, the same room, the same studio, same, right? All these things. So this helps a little bit. There's one thing that I'm very, very excited about, but I can't use this new Luna audio UAD sequencer type of thing. They've got these NIFs summing, and it's really, really cool because when you have like a real like analog mixing board, what happens is there's cross forgot the name. But basically part of the signal that goes through one channel is if the other channel gets transferred a little bit, which is something that initially wouldn't be desired, but it's just the way it is in the analog world, and especially with tape as well. There are 24 channels here, but because there's those 24 channels, and the tape, like when it's reading each one of the channels, it reads a little bit of the channel above and the channel below, so it's a little bit of cross, so that puts all the sounds together. It just blends the sound together, if that makes sense. So anyway, I like applying a little bit of saturation because it helps them sounding like together, and we lose a little bit of clarity, but if we do it in a subtle way, no problem. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Just running out of time to trying to explain a lot of things in yeah, you get it. Let's do this. Leaking, that's the word that I was using. It's like leakage. When you have two mics and one picks the sound of the other one in a mixing, like an analog mixing board, and in a tape machine like this one, there's a little bit of leakage between tracks. That's the word I was looking for. Select all of them. See how we start gaining a little bit of punch and power in the percussion while it's still not overpowering the melodic instruments. We compressed, like we've got several layers of compression, right? We've compressed each one of the instruments. We haven't, but because we don't have time. But then we also added some sort of like saturation, which also compressed a little bit. And then in the percussion bass, we've added saturation again, and tape saturation, and then compression. And I would add a limiter, very, very subtle limiter, something like here. Or any other limiter. You could use a fab filter, but I'm gonna compressor out. I'm just gonna limit in a little bit. What's going on? Oh, sorry. Where's my here?
just a tiny bit. And then perfect, okay. Like 1 dB up. It's a little bit too loud. And now finally, once we've got these two elements, which is percussion and orchestra, I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger. I'm gonna bring them
Marc.
up so you can see it. Yes.
Why do you use a multi-band compressor instead of just a normal compressor on the bus, on the percussion bus?
Great question. More bands, more transparent in general. Each band is gonna be doing it, you know, it's gonna be working on its own band, and we're not gonna get that much of like, whoa, there's a compressor being applied, especially with like full percussion. We got so much going on, right? So the multi-band compressor can sound more transparent.
I get it, because different, like different registers are playing different stuff at different times. Yeah,
Exactly.
okay.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
If you have an instrument that's very narrow in like a shaker, maybe just a compressor will do it. Still in the starter, I used a multi-band compressor. I did like 2 bands, basically like super high and very high, and then the rest sort of thing, and I compressed that. Just gives me a little bit more of transparency, but that was a little bit of overkill. Like I could have gone with just one regular compressor.
Yeah. Cool.
What was I gonna do? Okay, so and the last step, just imagine you are working on each instrument, you're automating each instrument, you are making it, you know, sing a little bit better. You're doing this track by track, one by one. But then what I like doing is separating all the melodic orchestral instruments and the percussion. So that's what we've got here, percussion and orchestra. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna activate right and right here, right and right, and these are the 2 first tracks here. And I am going to automate. Can you see this guy? Hopefully you do. Yes. All right, do this. Gonna go here. Yeah. So this is what? Percussion and orchestra. Let me see. Just make this a little bit louder for you guys. And what I'm gonna do is, yes, I'm gonna bring this down by -7, -711, -711. Cool. So this is percussion, orchestra, percussion. A little bit bigger so we all see what's going on. Oops. Yes. What is this? Why? Before I do that, let me just 1 second. Before I do that, what is this? Mute. Oh no. I wanna see. Anyway, volume is up there. It's okay. Before I do this, let me just do a little bit of automation here. This is the orchestral long, and I believe it does this. All right, yes. So I'm gonna. Man. I wish we had a little bit more of dynamics here in the second note. Cool, and then we've got a trumpet. Let me just automate the trumpet. Where's my trumpet here? All right, cool. All right, so let's do what we said we were gonna do. So this is percussion, orchestra, percussion, orchestra. Let's go to this loud part. And let me just bring down the volume one more time. Now, 1 second. I'm there, but not quite. So you see what basically what I've been doing, right? So when we've got the long note, then just orchestra, and then when we've got the long decay sort of thing, then a little bit more percussion, and we've been combining them. See, that's the game that's playing, and then I would have to be working on this last part here, but I don't have time. The only thing that I would say is if that's what you want, then leave the monster woodwinds. But if you want more power, generally we want brass. Let me see how the brass sounds. There's a little bit of phasing problems there, and then we've got the piano. Let's see what we can do. So what I would do is less of these guys. All right, and then a little bit more of these guys. And add the monster brass as well here is gonna add, and then maybe a little bit more piano. Let's see if we're gonna add a little bit more piano. So what do we have here exactly? See, it's nice, but it's soft and it's mellow, and at the end we want a little bit more aggressive. So instead of boom type of note, if we can have like an octave or double octave, a little bit louder, so mezzo forte or maybe fortissimo, and then maybe you can add like a dissonance there, so it can be like the octave with a dissonance in the lower note, so it adds a little bit more of darkness and not as pleasant sound, because what you have here is like boom, and then you've got super loud monster brass type of monster woodwind type of thing, and then the brass has a little bit of phasing issues. Maybe you're combining two very similar or exact same pads. And then but here what we want to have is truly loud. If you want like the big epic ending, you want to have so as what's gonna give that epic sound is gonna be like a huge brass, low brass section, so maybe monster brass, and you can double like 12 horns pads, and it's like a dark chord, so like a closed voicing down there, or just octaves. You want more clarity. Then if you wanna add a little bit of coloration, maybe like the monster woodwinds is gonna help, but the problem is that the woodwinds always gonna soften the brass. It's just the nature of it. So sometimes just brass will work. And you may want to add double basses to enhance the low end, a percussion bomb that adds that punch at the beginning of each note. And if you have the piano, which is great, extends the orchestral range. The piano has a bigger range than the orchestra itself. So if you got like a very low note or a very low octave with the piano, works great. Just a little bit louder in dynamic, I would say. And then maybe for the lowest note of that octave, maybe you can add like a second note like this one. Maybe if it's like, what note is this? If it's a C note, right? So if it's a C, maybe you can have the B as there as well to for the low. It's just gonna add a little bit of dissonance and less pleasant type of sound. So that's it. I wish I had the camera, man. I'm sorry, I don't have the camera. You see me there, tiny small little mark. All right, so that's it. I'm gonna go now. Let me know if do you have any question before I go?
Oh, that was great. Yeah, like you said, I was just trying to get that aggressive sound for the ending. The whole second section, but I just couldn't figure out what to do. So that was because I don't have is the Monster Brass, is it in like a Cinebrass Pro or something? Because I know I don't have it, and I also don't have Symbovia, which I know you said it's more.
Yeah, Symphobia is an old library, but it still has some nice patches. Yeah.
Because I don't have all those libraries that you recommend for trailers, so I was just digging through the patches in Albion One and Cinebrass core that I have.
Yeah, Monster Brass, if you don't have it, then you could go with the, you can enhance it with the 6 horns patch from the Cinebrass core and just have like octaves or a closed minor voicing or something like this, or just octaves in the lowest range, like the pedal notes of the horns instead of 6 horns ensemble patch. It's gonna sound dark enough, and then you can add. You don't have the timbasso and bass trombones, I think, in the core. But you can use the bass trombones there, and yeah, that's it. Because Albion's brass is gonna sound, it sounds big, but it doesn't have like that aggressive, darker type of sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's that.
Yeah, great.
It's a cool track. Let me just play it. It's not finished. But let's just listen.
It already sounds so
Oh.
much different.
Thank you.
Mark,
Yes.
just mentioning that people have been commenting some nice comments like for you in the chat, just so you might want to read them before you close Zoom.
Thanks so much. Thanks. Yes. Let me just copy them before I close. Otherwise, I'm gonna lose them. Copy. I always like reading nice comments. Keep them coming. I read lots of not good ones on my ads as well. All right. Just the nature of it. I think it's
Marc.
Yes, Simon.
Hi, how are you doing? Great lesson today. Thank you very much.
Thank
it was
you.
awesome to watch. Great stuff again. Quick question. Clean up EQing. You didn't do it in the last lessons. I'm just wondering, do you do it at all, or do you?
Yes.
Do you...
Yes, I did a little bit for the horns. I didn't spend that much time doing cleanup, like surgical EQ to get rid of the muddy areas. Didn't do it that much. I did it for the horns with the API. But yes, I would go in there, each one of them, and see if I can get rid of it a little bit. And especially in a track like this, where we've got so many ensemble patches, it's nice to reduce the size of it a little bit. So yes, thanks for bringing that up. It would be highly recommended.
Okay, so usually you start with that, or what's your procedure?
Yeah, 4 things. I usually load the tracks, lower everything by -6 dBs, and then depending on what each track needs, but it's gonna be it's either yes or not, but widening, EQing, reverb, and maybe saturation. So it's gonna be widening, saturation, EQ, like analog saturation, EQ, and reverb. Not the 4 of them. Sometimes I need the 4 of them. Sometimes I don't need anything. But and I do a first pass of these for all the tracks, and then I start doing the automation. Most of it is gonna be volume automation, but I may be also automating other things like reverbs or panning or compression.
Okay, cool.
Make sense?
Let's see.
Does it make sense?
No, that totally answered my question. Thank
Cool.
you.
Awesome. All right.
Perfect.
Great one.
And Mark, I have a question about the compression on the percussion. What ratio did you use? I couldn't quite see it on the screen.
Usually it's like 1.5 or 2, something very subtle. It's orchestral music. If it was like ADM, something like this, well, you can go crazy there. Or if you are dealing with synths, you can do whatever you want because it's a synthetic sound. But because this is where I used to hear the strings as they are or the percussion as they are, it's a natural acoustic instrument. When we start applying a lot, then well, it changes the sound and the timbre of that instrument. So you wanna keep it very, very subtle so it's transparent. So 2.2, 2 to 1.
Thanks.
No problem. I'm gonna export this track. I'm just gonna hit play now, and then that's it. I'm gonna cheat a little bit. The number one thing that I would do after to continue working on this would be I would work a little bit more on the expression, like expressivity, and the natural to make those the high brass melodies to sound a little bit more convincing. So I would work a little bit on that. I prefer having them sounding convincing out of the composing before I export to audio, but still we can enhance them a little bit more here. So I would like to work a little bit more here. At some point there's a little bit too much percussion. We would need also to add reverbs here and there to to better distribute the sounds. Even though most of the melodic orchestral, they already come with this is the room reverb and this, but still I would like to work the main challenge with this track is big ensemble patches, which is nothing wrong. It allows us to work faster. Sometimes that sound is a little bit too big, and so I would like, as Simon was mentioning, to cut a little bit surgically here and there to gain a little bit of space and to thin out some of the sounds. And yeah, automation, basically a little bit here to make everything breathe and to enhance a few things here and there. All right, but that's it. Hopefully, I wish I could have done the before and after. But anyway, hopefully you get an idea, and hope this was useful. This is the track that we're gonna be mixing today. It's from Marc James, and it sounds like this. All right, cool. So it's a great track. Love the track. Now, things that I obviously won't have time to mix a track like this in an hour. People usually make fun of me because I say 1 hour, then I stay like 2 or 3 hours. Today I will try to stay 1 hour. So here's the thing: 51 tracks. So when we send me this, like, hey Marc, just send me this stem, send me the. This is what he sent me: almost every separate track, and it's totally fine, right? And it can be done, having every separate track. And in fact, when a mixing engineer is gonna ask you to, I promise today I won't do that much talking. I will do more doing. But it's, when an engineer, like if if you're working on a project, there's a budget, there's a mixing engineer doing your music, mixing your music, you'll be able to send them, they'll ask you to send every separate track dry as possible, meaning if you added any effect, get rid of the effect. Even if you added a delay, just get rid of the delay. They will replicate, they will ask you to send also your mix, and they'll replicate and improve and elevate your mix. And that's exactly what they are going to ask you to do. Now, me as a composer, I don't want to deal with so much crap, right? It's like 51 tracks, really. It's like I've got the stuff like oboe legato, oboe long, oboe A3 short, oboe A3 long. It's like I don't even want to see those names there, oboe, and unless they are doing something very special, like a melody that I need to be able to isolate because I want to add some, like, extra long reverb to that specific flute melody in that specific moment. Then when I'm composing and exporting stems, I'll make sure that that goes to like an auxiliary stem. So then I have, so then I have flexibility over that one, and I can and I can add reverb to that one. But most likely, if I have a solo flute, maybe I don't even have the woodwinds doing, I don't know, like maybe I do, I don't know. Just now. This is a lot to process. When I'm the composer and I'm mixing my own music, I don't want to deal with that much. If I'm the composer and I'm doing my own music, most likely the budget is not going to be that awesome, and that is because it is not that. It's a TV movie, most likely, and the TV movie they don't need the music to sound like the music that goes to like studio movie. Right? It doesn't have to sound, it has to sound great, but it's the outcome for the music is to do what it's supposed to do, right? To enhance the scene, to make that specific emotion more whatever it needs to be, right? So in a TV movie, you don't have time to make something like this. You just, unless it's like a high budget TV movie, you just do the music in your sequencer, like composing, and then export directly to that's the final mix. You don't even have time to mix it. If you had time to mix, I would do stems. It would be easier. But anyway, here's what we've got. So I'm gonna go step by step. I will not do the entire mix. I'll just mention some specific things. Let's talk about the horns at the beginning. So let's see what we've got. We're talking about these guys here. We've got these guys here. Here we go. All right, horns. They go like this. So let's do this. Just. All right, sound nice. Let's see what we've got. We've got this track. It says horns. One more time. Then we've got this track. Right, horns harmony. This is a horns ensemble patch, it sounds like. Then we've got this horns A4, again, it's an ensemble patch. This is BBC, Symphonic Orchestra. That, the first thing that I like more about this one is the attack. It's more precise. And especially, let me see, the ti-to-ti-ta-to-ti in this part here. I like this part better than this guy. I needed the pa-pa-pa-pa-pam. That's what this phrase needs, really. Most of the times, it's not about mixing, it's about... It's not even, that 80-20 thing, 80-20% thing that I say all the time, it's composing is more... Also, it's about, within that 80%, composing is the most important part. You are composing and performing. And so, maybe the idea is good, but the performance is not perfect. You gotta get that performance right. It's like if you have like a great piece of music, you print it, you extract the parts, and you put the parts there for the orchestra to play your piece. What are the odds that if the, I don't know, like the London Symphony Orchestra performs your track, it is going to sound better than if like a high school orchestra performs your track? This is gonna sound way better, right? So that's exactly what we are doing when we are using this syncastrating. when we are using the instruments we're performing has to sound perfect. So this, I'm gonna be a little bit harsh here because Marc's not here. This it's not perfect. This is not what we want. We want tam pa 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 pam. If it takes like 30 minutes for you to get that take right, it takes you 30 minutes. But it's gotta sound how you expect it to sound. My library is not. No, if your library is not great, you know, have it sounding great. And I apologize, Michael. I love you. It's a great track. But hopefully you see this as a constructive criticism. This is an awesome track. You put a lot of work. Sounds outstanding. I'm gonna try to zoom in and try to find those small micro things that could make it a little bit better. But that's sort of the concept. Okay. So let's see. Because now the cool thing about you sending me so like 51 tracks is that I've got like almost 6 versions of the same line, and I've got this part, I've got the in this part here, I've got it here, then it's harmony, then it's here again. It's a little bit better here, then one more time here, and then this is harmony, and then this harmony again. Cool. All right. Is this the exact same track? Yes. This is the exact same track. What is going on here? Let's get rid of this guy. All right. Let's delete, remove. This is the same track. Delete. I'm pretty sure. If not, let me know. Let me see. From the source. Horns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, but 12 megabytes, same name /1. It's gotta be the same track. Let me just Command Z. Let me see, I deleted this one. It is the same guy. Again, you're gonna delete them. Boom, out. Cool. So easy when exporting stems to mess things up. And I used to mess things. What I used to do is I would have all my tracks and I would create an Excel file and make sure that when I was exporting one by one, that I was exporting everything properly. And every time that I would export one track, I would just mark that in that line in the Excel file. These days I just have my stems, hit A, export the stems, and it's perfect. There's no error possible. It's just exporting the stems that I've got there. As long as everything is routed properly in my template, no, I can't mess it up. If you're exporting tracks one by one, it's gonna take you longer, and problems like this, right? So back here. I like this one better. Let's see this. 1, 2, 3, 4. I know. So this patch, these horns ensemble patches up here, it's very, very, very small here, this guy here. It is not, it is also, it seems like it has this, the same line down an octave, right? Look at this. This is this guy here. So this is this brings one octave lower. Okay, and then we've got harmony. All right, cool. So these guys are at -18. I don't even know if I like them that much. Let me see. Yeah, definitely. That octave, like that lower octave, gives it a little bit of support. We've got the horns in its higher register. They are in the. If this was the middle C, I don't have the camera. If this was the middle C, then yeah, if this was the middle C, then the horns are up here, which is the C up an octave, and it goes up until like a D note. This is the highest. It can go a little bit higher, but for in our orchestral context, this is pretty high for the horns. Now, the higher you go, the more tense the sound, the thinner the sound, and so it's nice to have some of them down an octave. Now here, if we're going for a realistic sound here, this is an ensemble sound that most likely is gonna be like 4 horns, and then we've got the down an octave. Here we've got like 2 octaves, so maybe it's 8 horns, 4 horns, and 4 horns. So that is easily 20 horns here. So if we are going for a realistic sound, that would be a little bit too much. Okay. Okay. So I don't know. So it's gonna thicken the sound a little bit. See, when I unmute these guys, it thickens the sound a little bit. I'm gonna bring it down just a tad, and without. This part here is a little bit too loud, in my opinion. I'll bring it down a little bit, this second part. So I'm gonna write here and write. And same thing here. So we brought this down a little bit. This guy brought it down by minus 10 to minus 12, so a couple of dBs. Minus 11 to minus 15. Let's bring it up a little bit. That was too much. Minus 10 to minus 11 to minus 15. Again, a little bit too much. Yeah. We've got too much lower strings here. I don't know what's going on. I'll take a look in a second. Okay, what else? Why is this so low now in volume? This part here. Let's see. I'm gonna mute this ensemble. What is going on with the lower strings? I'll come back to these guys later. Let me see, we went from minus 13 to 5. That's a lot. But I would bring up those lower notes a little bit just to yeah, definitely this part here is more important, yes. And it's doing C C C F G, right? C C C F G, and then the other one is doing what are you doing? It's doing tiraron. It's E F G dodom. All right, so obviously this part is more important. This section here is more important. The first voice, and the second voice is less important. But still, and we're gonna hear this one a little bit more because it is higher in register and it is gonna stand out. So I would bring up I would bring up this one a little bit. It's in terms of they would like the lower horn. They would try to compensate and sound a little bit louder, not as. So we're gonna go from -13 to, let's see. See, this is the type of things that I don't deal with when I'm mixing, because it's done. When it's composing, this is done. As I'm either using an ensemble patch, this is done, or I'm using two legato horns or two staccato horns, whatever it is to build something like this. Which, hey, by the way, to build something like this takes a little bit because there are different articulations. So great work here, Marc. But I'm done with all these readjusting internal voices during the composing process. When mixing, to me, it's like maybe horns. I see horns there, or short notes, long notes, but maybe it's like mid brass or high brass, whatever it is. I don't, when I'm mixing, if the mixing engineer would be mixing, yes, they would spend all this time doing this. All right, cool. I'll do the same thing here, maybe. Let's see this too. Look at this. Let me just bring up the volume a little bit here. Because of the attack, they're like this. These two. I'm looking at these two tracks. Bring up the volume a little bit. So. This part here. It goes a little bit, I think it goes a little bit ahead, and the definition of this rhythm is not 100% clear, which is, it would be okay, right? Like a live orchestra could mess it up, but in the second take or third take, they should get this. This is very easy for them to get it right and to get the right performance, the right rhythm, the right accents, right? The right intention. Those things are important, more important than mixing. It is like it's right? And that's what we want. And maybe we have there, I don't know the rest of the orchestration. Maybe we've got percussion enhancing that moment or that hit or that rhythm. But the horns, if I'm just muting the horns should be able to clearly state the phrase. And it should be right? I'm gonna fix this with you won't even hear this in context. And this is like when you're chopping vocals, you've got two singers. It's hard for them to sing exactly, and it's like a pop record. It has to be perfect. and you're just like literally you're chopping parts like this, and you're just aligning them. Then you put a little bit of reverb on top of that, and when all the rest of the instruments on top, like on top of the buckles, you don't hear those cuts. Anyway, I'm not gonna get it perfect, but you get what I'm trying to do. Let's do this smaller. Okay, I like this better, a little bit better. Of course I do. All right, cool. Let's make this a little bit smaller, and let's see. I think I'm gonna bring down this a little bit more the second time here. Let's we've got the snare there. Where's the snare? Where's my snare? Here. Let's make it align a little bit better, the horns line. Because it's the only thing that we have. We've got just horns. So if we mess it up with the horns, that's with samples like a syncastration, very typical technique is like, it's very hard to have one instrument sounding realistic. Now, when you have the ensemble, like a legato violins line sometimes could sound a little bit fake if you add an arp at the beginning of each note, like cling, 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 right? Like each note of an arp, it's gonna sort of hide the imperfections of the sample, like the sample library, like the legato is very hard to get it realistic. For example, just add something on top, or a piano, an arp, something like this, celesta, it's gonna hide those problems that are common in sample libraries. So now we just have horns. It's like, oh my gosh, okay, we better get this right? Like if we've got the orchestra, the horns are going to do a great job. With samples, it's gonna be a little bit harder. So the only thing that we have here is the snare. Great, awesome. Now the snare is not perfectly aligned with the horns. Hear this. It goes what? Sooner, or is it going ahead, or does it have a little bit of like delay? It's a little bit ahead, right? And in fact, if we would be able to see this, all right, we've got this guy. We're gonna make this a little bit smaller. Right, tom. Right? We don't need this, right? Yes, we do. No, yes. Out, 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 out. Easier to deal with. Okay. Yeah, there you go. So I would spend like hours just fixing things like this, and this performance stuff. And then before I actually start mixing, I would just go in here and it's like, okay, the mixing engineer shouldn't be doing this, but you find them doing stuff like this all the time, even when you record with top LA musicians, which is, okay, what can we do now? They are great musicians, great performance, fantastic, awesome, great sound and all that. But what can we do in terms of, fixing like timing issues, tuning issues? Like when you are recording the entire orchestra, you can't fix anything. But if you're doing like maybe, for example, you've got a cello that's recorded separately, then you can tune the cello if needed. Okay, you can do stuff like this. Rebalance if you are recording section by section. And that's before actually mixing. It's just like making them look better before you start mixing. There you go. Before and after. And I didn't fine tune, but and if that is the case, then maybe the rest of the track has the same problems. Not here. A little bit maybe, just a tiny little bit. Yep. Also, keep in mind sometimes, depending on what percussion instrument and the situation and the gesture, the musical gesture, sometimes we wanted to actually to go a little bit ahead. Sometimes like a few milliseconds late. Sometimes right there if we want a very tight hit. So that's something to take into consideration usually when we are composing, but in this case, we're doing it now here. Let me see. Come on. A little bit more of, I wish I had a little bit in right? A little bit more of, let's just bring this up a little bit. I see the intention. Maybe now this is personal choice, personal taste. Look at this. I think it would work great. Now, this is something that Marc, that if I was mixing for Marc, and then I would present two versions, right? It's like, hey, I brought up this snare here. Maybe it's not what you wanted, right? Here's another problem that we usually have as composers. We create something. This is the motif, it's the horns, whatever, right? And then we have the something else on top of that. It's worked great. And then we keep adding things and things and things and things. And then at some point, we even for like after 2 hours of work, after 2 hours working on in that 8 bars passage, we even forget about the stuff that we put it at the beginning, and it's something that gets lost. Maybe it was a good idea. We don't even remember that idea anymore, and it ends buried. It's not the case because we don't have that much going on here. Basically, we've got the horns and the timpani roll and a little bit more, but I'm going to bring it up anyway. Just a little bit more intention would be nice here. So we had it. So I'm gonna bring it here down. And then we're gonna move here. I'm gonna do something cool here. Check this out. Let's see if I can do this. I haven't done this for a while. I'm gonna go here. Gonna create a bus. I'm gonna create a bus here. It's gonna be an effects bus. It's gonna be an effects bus. It's gonna have. Let's see if I can. It's gonna have stereo. It's gonna be a delay. Let's see if I can choose a very simple delay. Very simple delay. Stereo delay. So you see the effect. Add track. All right. Haven't used this reverb for forever. But sometimes I prefer using plugins that you all have, because when I use a UAD plugin, it's like I don't have this thing, right? All right, cool. So yes, that up here is the light that makes me look nice here. Makes me look like an angel. Anyway, cool. So what we are gonna do now is a very short reverb, very short delay, just one repetition delay. It's and we are gonna, it's gonna be in a stereo delay. It's gonna hit left and right, so it's gonna be left and right, and we're gonna separate it by like 20 or 30 milliseconds, which is the minimum. So our ear hears it like two different hits, but it's so close that we don't hear it. It's not like papak, papak, so like that. It's gonna be like pa, but it's more like pra, pra, pra. And so if we have a delay, and a delay, basically what it is that we have a hit. It's like pa, 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 pa. That's a delay, right? Pa, 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 pa. Delay effect. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna have the hit and then just one repetition, pa, pa. But it's gonna be so close. It's gonna be a pre-fader. I'll explain this. It's gonna be a pre-fader delay, right? So we're not gonna hear the original sound. It's gonna be a super fast delay. So when it receives, it's gonna be a send. When it receives the dry signal, we're not gonna hear that. We're gonna hear just the delay, but the delay is gonna hit left first, and then 20 milliseconds later, right. And what we're gonna hear is it's gonna be that snare sound, but left right. It's gonna be like pra pra. It's gonna enhance the snare sound. It's gonna make it way wider, because it's gonna make it a stereo all of a sudden. Even though it's in a stereo sound, it's gonna sound like two snares, not exactly like that, but it's gonna open the snare. It's gonna open the snare like crazy. It's like we had two snares. We're gonna have any phasing problems. It's gonna be awesome. Let's do this. So basically, I've never used this plugin. So let me see. Basically, it needs to be like a very. Can we link left and right? Can we link left and right? Hello. Okay, no need to. It's gonna be a very short delay. First of all, the delay. This guy is here. It's gonna be color. This guy here. Yeah, this. So this is the stereo delay. It's gonna be a very short delay. It's gonna have a very low feedback. This is the snare. We're gonna send it to that delay. It's this delay here, stereo delay. It's gonna be pre-fader. It's just this. I think this is pre-fader. It's always so confusing. It says pre-post fader. I don't know. I guess this is pre-fader. This is post-fader. Pre-fader. Let me see. If I send this delay here, let me just add feedback. Lots of feedback. Let's just solo this track. Solo. Hello. Exactly. That's the delay. I do not want it. I want it wet 100%. It's gonna be way faster. No, I do not want this. I do not want it synced. I want it super fast. Perfect. All right, so that's a delay, right? So that's what it's doing. So that's the first step. Now, if I bring down the volume of this track, this track here. If I bring it down, do I still get a delay? Oh, 1 second. If I bring it down here. No, this is post fader. So pre-fader is this guy here. Perfect. All right. Now, so can you see when I hit play? I'm gonna bring this up. When I hit play, see the audio comes late. Like you can see the bar going over this, and then that is because we are not hearing the original sound. We are just hearing the delay sound. So the first thing that we hear is that 200 milliseconds. That is why we hear that delay. Now, so what we're gonna do is feedback is gonna be super low. So just one repetition. And now what we are gonna do is we are not gonna filter it. We're not gonna filter it. We're gonna filter it. And then we're gonna have it pan right and left. And the first one is gonna be at 0 milliseconds, and the second one is gonna be at something like 20 milliseconds. Oh mama. What you're gonna hear here is like the snare all the time went so like super wide. Come on. Here we go. And here, so the before, sort of like the before and after, let me just go here and automate the send. Oh, in fact, let me just activate the send, this record. All right, cool. So this is the send. At the beginning, we don't want that effect. And then, or maybe we do. Why don't we have it? Let's see. Maybe we can have it. Let's make this a little bit bigger so we can work. Oh mama. So so let's compare the what we have before is this without the send level. Where do we the send level here is gonna be nothing. So recording, yes, nothing. Here we go. And then we're gonna bring it up so you can hear the difference. All right, so the difference is this is how it was before. So just like a snare with the room sounds a little bit to the right. And now it's the same volume sort of thing, but now it's gonna sound way wider. See, same thing. Before. After. All right, so that's the effect. That's cool. Awesome, and that's what we're gonna have here now. This is the send volume. So at the beginning it's gonna be a little bit lower, minus 11, which was the original, the volume that we had here. See, minus 10, and now we're gonna bring it up because I want it to sound a little bit louder because this was so it's gonna be at 0 or something like this. By the way, something that I did that you didn't see when I was opening the session before the chat started was I selected all the tracks and I brought down everything by 10 dBs. So I get a little bit of, so I gain two things. First, I'm short, I know that I'm not going to overload the master bass and the master output sort of stereo track. And then I have more headroom if I need to do stuff like this, right? If I need to bring up the one instrument by something crazy like 10, 15, 16 dBs, I can do it because all of them are at minus 10. Cool. So that's it, and here's how it sounds. Switch this. I'm gonna do 20 milliseconds here, 20 milliseconds here, and 1 millisecond here. Yes, it gives a little bit more weight on the left, on the right side. That's what I want. I prefer the snare a little bit here. So I still hear the stereo, but it adds a little bit more weight here, just because. I'm gonna now add 20 milli, something like minus 10 milliseconds delay here because the delay is adding 20 milliseconds of delay. So now I'm gonna have 10 milliseconds. So one of the hits it's gonna be a little bit ahead. Some of the hits gonna be a little bit late by 10 milliseconds each. So that's how I'm compensating. too much. That's too loud. Let's add a little bit of reverb here. Gonna add a little bit of reverb. I see. Let's brighten this up a little bit. I'm gonna add insert, and this is not usually the way I work, but this track is different, and I don't possibly have time in 1 hour to mix this track, and I just wanted to address a few things. Hopefully you learned something here, but usually the way I work is I organize all the tracks, then I do like a very basic rebalancing if needed, then I do like, you know, my basic 3 or 4 things that I do, which is not all of them, but possibly widening, analog saturation, EQ, and reverb, maybe the 4 of them, maybe none of them, maybe a few of them, in all the tracks, and then I do automation, and then I'm almost done. But I don't have time, and that's when I'm mixing with the stems. If I'm not mixing with the stems, I need to dig deeper, like in this case, and make everything, because now I have more flexibility. I can find more mistakes, or I can fix more mistakes. And in a way, I'm glad that Marc sent me all these separate tracks, because I will be able to do things that I would do when I'm composing, but because I'm not composing this track, I don't have access to, but I still have every separate track. So I'm doing things that I would do while I'm composing. I can mention those. And that sort of like helps me proving like the point that it's not about mixing. It's the 80% of your sound, of the final sound, is during the composing process. And if you see, I still haven't done any mixing up until now, which I did like the delay thing, and I'm gonna add a little bit of reverb now, but I haven't done any mixing yet. That what I've done, should have been done during the composing stage. A little bit of reverb. We're gonna brighten this a little bit. So sometimes when we say I need to brighten this, I need to blah blah blah, I need to soften this, darken this. Generally we go and we reach a reverb, an EQ, right? And yes, sometimes that can be a solution, but see if there's something else that can do the same thing without actually doing the EQ, right? The surgical EQ is nice, but sometimes, like, do you need this to sound bright? Do you also need to add a reverb? Yes. Can you add a reverb that makes this sound a little bit brighter and do the 2 things just in one thing? Yes, because if you do that, everything's gonna sound more transparent. Like the more processing, the more things that you do, like the more plugins that you add, in general, the less you do, the better in general, right? It's about mixing. It's about getting rid of things. It's about shaping the sound, not about adding, right? So if you have this and it's like, I wish it sounded a little bit brighter, maybe there is, I've got this percussion, I need to compress this a little bit, but I need it to sound a little bit brighter as well. Maybe there's a compressor that, just because it's an analog emulation and just that box that compress it, but it also brightens the sound a little bit for just the processing that it does. It brightens the sound a little bit. Or you've got maybe like an analog saturation emulation type of plugin that brightens the sound a little bit. You're not even EQing, or you are adding a reverb and then it's bright reverb. It brightens the sound a little bit. So the less you do, the better, right? Yes, you can go in there and have a shelf and bring up a little bit like a 5K, like a shelf, and bring it up. But in general, when you are EQing, you can do that. I'm not saying don't do that, but in general, when you are EQing, it's about shaping. So it's about getting rid, it's like bringing down frequency. It's like getting rid of parts rather than adding. If you're boosting the frequency here, yeah, definitely you can do that, but it's gonna sound more artificial. It's about, finding that notch that I can, cut a little bit, that surgical EQ, cutting here, getting rid of the low end, maybe cutting at around 200, maybe the irritation area right here sounds a little bit too treble. Let's cut this a little bit, right? It's about shaping and cutting and creating the sound rather than always adding, boosting frequencies. That is not going to help that much. Good engineers will always cut and shape. It's like, yeah, it's like a surfboard, right? They have a piece of foam and they start shaping the foam, and then they build the surfboard, right? Or a sculpture, it's the same concept, right? A piece of a stone, and then it starts shaping, then they create, so the sound is somehow the same. It's a metaphor, but it's the same. All right, cool. All right. What was I? Yes, it's gonna brighten this snare for this part a little bit. We're gonna add a little bit of reverb. We can add more stuff when we have less stuff. We can add more reverb, more whatever we are adding. Like when we add reverb, we are adding sound. We are sound to like the sound. We've got a sonic space available, right? 3 dimensions. We can, when we add reverb, we are filling that space. We are adding things, right? We have more space available here. There's not much going on. We've got the horns, a little bit of strings, and the snare, right? There's not crazy orchestration. There's not a lot going on here, right? Now, where we've got more going on towards the end, then gotta be more careful adding things. So I'm gonna add a little bit of reverb. That reverb is not gonna stay there all the time. I'm gonna have it just for a little bit. Then I'm gonna either bring down the amount of reverb or the length of the reverb or something, right? Or the width of the reverb, or maybe I'm gonna get rid of the entire reverb. But for this specific moment, I'm gonna add the 140, MT140, but I forgot the name. I had, maybe you see me going a little bit faster today, because I'm fully rested. I can't stress enough how important it is to rest, you guys. Man, I usually wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning, but I go to sleep very, very, very early. I go to sleep at like baby time. So when my kids go to sleep, I go to sleep. Usually it's like 7, 8, 9 p.m. Then I wake up early in the morning. I've got 4 or 5 hours of work without kids, and then the rest of the day. And with this quarantine, my wife does during mornings with the kids, and I do at the afternoon. But it's tough. But it's fine. It's great. But it's tough because we don't have time to work together. We work from home, both of us, and I've had a few days that not enough hours of sleep. And today I woke up in the mornings like I think I need to sleep, and I sleep like 3 or 4 more hours. And it's like today it's been one of these days that if I put together, I've slept like 9 hours. It's just crazy. It's like cool. All right. Anyway, so this is plates reverb. I'm gonna select. I'm gonna make it a little bit bright. I'm gonna cut the low frequencies, just so you hear how this sounds. Right, it's this guy here. Length. Gonna bring up the sound there. Right, so this is the reverb. Now I'm gonna select this is basically there are the two most important settings of this reverb. It's gonna be length. Well, we've got type of reverb. Is this like the color? This one, or this one? We've got like 3 reverbs, right? 3 in 1. And then we've got the length, shorter reverb, longer reverb, and then we've got the amount of reverb, completely dry or completely wet. Shorter or longer. All right. And then we've got other things. Then this is a low cut, so a high pass filter, right? Here is gonna cut 90 and everything below 90, 125, 180, 250, 270, 360, and that's it. Okay. So that's gonna sound brighter than this. Has all this rumble that we don't really want. So I'm gonna cut all this. We don't want all this. Right, let's see which one I like most. Which one is brighter? By nature. The other one is way brighter. This one. This one is brighter. Cool, I like this one. Okay, let's start with this one. Now, I want it very, very short. So, and I'm gonna listen this in context, obviously. But let me just explain real quick. This is the width. Okay, so it's a more narrow reverb. Wider reverb, and what this is gonna do is we're gonna select what frequency. This is a low cut, and this is a high cut. Well, it's more like a shelf. Okay, it's a shelf actually, and this I can bring down up. So this is 0 minus 12, 0 plus 12 dBs, starting at 20 dBs or more. So I can go maybe like this, 2K. This is 20 hertz, 2 kilohertz. So I can bring down some of the low frequencies if I want here, even though I've got this cut here. brighter and brighter. Well, not brighter, but less low rumble. And then here, I can brighten. If I bring it in, there you go. That's because I have slept so much. All right, cool. Brighter and brighter, okay? I don't want that much, though, just a little bit. And I'm gonna, just wanted to explain you this reverb real quick. And now I am going to add a little bit of pre-delay. So I'm gonna make this short. It's gonna be something like this. So without. Now, super short. Right? So this is just a little bit of reverb, a little bit more. So this is the amount. It is short. It's 1 second less than a second. And now we're gonna add a little bit of pre-delay. A little bit shorter. And a little bit less. All right, so with, without. All right, so that's it. Now in context. One more time. So the difference that you should be hearing is like when this is not illuminated, meaning not so bypassed. This is bypassed. This is applying the reverb. With, without. So without, it's like it's so dry that it's even not part of the orchestra. And I asked Marc to send me tracks dry, so I'm pretty sure he had reverb here. But basically what we are doing here is trying to blend the snare with the rest of the orchestra. So maybe we can add a little bit more of reverb here. I'm gonna automate the reverb length here for this part here, because it's just the snare. All right, and then the reverb amount as well. Oh, I can do this one more time. I always say the same thing when someone asks me what does a reverb do. It beautifies the sound a little bit, but also makes it a little bit more muddy. So reverb is nice, makes things sound more beautiful. And it's nice if you just have one piano note and you add a ton of reverb. If that is what that piano note needs, it's gonna sound it beautiful, right? That super wet, longest ever reverb piano note, cling, with all that, like the typical trailer piano note at the beginning of each trailer, cling, and then like every other trailer starts just a piano note with a lot of reverb. Can we do that? Yes, with just one piano note we have so much space, sonic space. We can add a really long reverb if that is the effect that we need, that we want, that we are after. So we have a space. It's just gonna beautify the sound. It's gonna make it a little bit more pleasant in general. Now, if it's like a fast run and a ton of reverb, we are not gonna hear the run how we are supposed to hear the run. If it's like a cello ostinato passage, we don't want that much reverb. In fact, we want it as dry as possible, right? Sometimes we want a smaller section of cellos, or a smaller cello section recorded in a smaller room when they've got like a very specific ostinato passage, and we want definition for that section, right? So let's record the cello separately, and we just want 4 cellos or 5 cellos, right? And it's gonna create a different sound than like a 12 cello section in a big, like a Sony scoring stage type of room, right? It's a different sound. So that's what the reverb does. Take into consideration when you are recording, if you are recording, or when you are producing, like if you were recording this, if you wanted more definition, you choose a smaller cello section, right? So when you are composing, if you want that, if that's what you want, if that's what you want with the cellos, don't choose a massive big not symphonia, Speedfire symphonic string section. Choose something that's smaller or in a smaller room, like the cinematic scoring strings or like the old LA scoring strings, right? This is like something that's smaller in a small room, closer miking technique. But it's not gonna blend with, well, do whatever you have to do for it to blend with the rest of the orchestra. But if maybe you want that effect, maybe you want that for it to blend, but not too much, and you still have the definition and the bite of that drier sound. So that is when you are composing. Those choices, you are taking them when you are composing.
All right, that's it. Another long session. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. Thanks for the fantastic questions. Now it's your turn. As I've been saying this over and over and over and over again, music is practice. This continues to be music. Obviously, we are mixing our music. We are making our music sound better. We're not fixing any composing problem. We are not fixing any serious problem that should have been fixed in the composing stage. But we are elevating the music, making it sound bigger, more cinematic. We are enhancing the production level, right? We're making it sound like industry standard. This is what we are doing here. It's that final 10, 15%, or maybe 20% for some of you of enhancement. All right, it's very important. It's a very meaningful step. It's what's gonna separate your music from like the music that you like everyone else's and music that sounds professional. All right, it's a very important step. Now practice. It's your turn. You've got more than 4 hours of me mixing. So you've heard me saying so many different things. Some of them I've repeated. Some of them you saw them on Tuesday. You've seen them again on Wednesday. Now it's your turn to actually take all the learning that you've done over these 2 days and apply them. Select one of your tracks, one of the tracks that you composed over the past 2 weeks. Maybe it's the action high intensity. Maybe it's the adventure hero. I don't care. Maybe it's the love you that you've written. Choose the one that you are most proud of, or choose the one that you developed the farthest, or choose the one that you'd love to kind of like finish and produce at the highest level, because tomorrow we're going to be mastering. So choose one, start doing the mixing. Tomorrow we're going to be doing the mastering. I'll show you show you the step by step. Mastering can be a little bit simpler than mixing. It's going to be simpler than mixing. And so do the mixing today, and then tomorrow learn mastering, master the track, and at the end of this student, you're gonna have a professional sounding industry standard with a lot of production value cue track that you have composed. All right, now it's your turn. Put the time, put the work, put the practice, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.